Well, an official good morning to everyone. I'm Marilyn Martin, president of Encore Learning, and it's great to join you for the preview of Encore Learning's 44th semester. I'm very excited looking at our offerings for the fall. We have 37 courses available. Of those 37, 28 are new courses, which is an impressive number. We also have 9 new instructors. 16 of our courses will be in person. Another 14 will be virtual, and several others will be hybrid, combining both online and in-person participation. There will even be a few classes this semester in the great outdoors, so get ready to sign up for fall. And a quick note about our virtual classes. If you find a virtual class you want to take and you're still feeling your way on computer webinars, we're available to assist. We can get you comfortable using Zoom before your class. There are Zoom resources on our website to assist, but feel free to reach out to us if you need more help. Online course registration will begin Monday, September 9th at 10 a.m. At 10 o'clock, and you go online, all courses will go live and will be displayed with the link Register Now. Click that link of the class or classes of your choice, and the website will guide you through the rest of the process. And again, if you have trouble, just contact us at info@encorelearning.net, and we can assist you with any registration. Since some of our classes are very popular, when you click to register, you might learn that the course is full and you're on a waiting list. But don't give up. Our waiting lists are variable because people change. Sometimes instructors decide to open up more spots. Do not despair. This is a rolling process. And people change their mind and they drop out. So it's possible you'll be able to get the course you want. Also, while registration opens on Monday, you can, of course, register anytime after Monday's registration date. Some courses will have availability all the way up to when the course begins. Before we launch our preview, let me do a quick shout out to the many teams that make today and our classes possible. Committee chairs and volunteers from academic programs, publications, membership, class aides, volunteer, and IT. That's a whole bunch of people, but they are the ones that make this happen. So thank you very much. And also thanks to the more than 40 members who serve as class aides to our instructors, who also volunteer their time and expertise. Thank you all for a superb job. Also, a quick note for any of you who might still want to join our class aide cadre. We still have some openings, so when you register for a class, it may ask if you'd like to be a class aide. Our instructors very much appreciate what the class aides provide, and it also gives you a chance to engage with an instructor beyond just the curriculum. One more important event to remind you of. On September 19th from 10 to noon, please plan to join us for our open house and campus walk at George Mason University. You'll get a chance to meet instructors, get prepared for the semester, learn about clubs and other Encore Learning events and programs. We hope to see you there. Please register for it. Our preview this morning will be brief videos from each of our instructors describing their classes. These preview videos will be available on our YouTube channel tomorrow morning. So if you missed one, would like to review again, or want to share a course idea with a friend, you can do that on YouTube tomorrow. Now, enough of my commentary. On with the preview. Hosting our program are the two leaders of our academic program committee, Jean Labella and Deb Spiro. They will introduce each segment of the program. We'll have a break in program at about 10:30, and we'll entertain questions at that time, as well as show a brief video on how to prepare for registration. I'm glad you could join us this morning and hope you enjoy the previews. Jean, Deb, let's go.
Thank you, Marilyn. And I want to add my welcome. I'm Deb Spiro, one of the two co-chairs of the Academic Programs Committee. We're so glad to have you here today and share what is going to be an absolutely fabulous semester. You know, Jean and I and the other members of our committee finish our work in spring of the previous semester, and I kind of forgot what we had done over the summer. So when I got my catalog, I was just amazed at the variety of classes we're offering. I already planned to sign up for way too many, so I'm going to have to figure out a way to cut back. And I think you'll feel the same once you hear about these courses. What we also have this time, we are increasing the number of classes that are being recorded. So if you, like so many of us these days, have travel plans or things coming up this fall, and you're saying, oh, I might miss a class or two, so I better not sign up. You don't need to, in all cases, forfeit a class or miss out on anything. We have 12 classes that are being recorded, and these are the recordings will be available to anyone who registers. Here's the quick list. You can see there's some wonderful opportunities here. But you don't have to pay too much attention right now because it's all in your catalog online at encorelearning.net. So now I'm going to turn it over to Jean to tell you a little bit more.
Thank you, Deb, and welcome everybody. We're so glad you're here with us this morning. I am Jean Labella, and I'm Deb's co-chair of the Academic Programs Committee. Like Deb, I got to see what great lineup of courses we have for the fall. I, for one, am really, really happy that we have our print catalog, and I know a lot of you are as well. This morning, we have a video presentation for all 37 of our fall courses. And the presentations are going to roll out this morning in the order that they appear in the catalog. So if you would like, you can go to the grid view, which is the inside front cover of your catalog, and kind of follow along and know what's going to be discussed when. Or you can go page by page, and if you want to make notes as you're listening to the videos, you've got that option as well. We're going to do this by categories. We're going to start off this morning with our arts and our health and wellness. We've got a total of 7 courses, I think. No, I beg your pardon. 5 altogether in those 2 categories. So I'll be quiet now and let's roll the videos.
In the early 20th century, a new, unique art form was invented, silent film comedy. Using traditions from vaudeville, British music hall, and French boulevard theater, and using film techniques like undercranking, these films remain accessible and fresh in a way that differs from other silent movies and have no sound film equivalent. The best, under the direction of masters like Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, and Harold Lloyd, are still recognized as some of the greatest movies ever made. I've been a fan of silent comedy since the early 1970s, which in the years before streaming, DVD, or even video, I had to collect them on a format like this, 8mm film, which I ordered from Black Hawk Films in Davenport, Iowa. This film is a great Chaplin short called Easy Street. So I've been a long-time fan and have seen most of these movies, so I can curate you through the greatest of them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to discuss the beginnings of silent comedy, the careers of Chaplin, Keaton, and Harold Lloyd, the technical secrets behind these movies, and why the film genre was killed off by sound. We will see clips from films like Chaplin's The Kid, Gold Rush, City Lights, Modern Times, Buster Keaton's 1 Week, Cops, Sherlock Jr., The Navigator, and The General, and Harold Lloyd's Safety Last and The Freshman. In this tense time of political turmoil, you can think of this course as therapy. I'm going to take you back over 100 years for 8 hours of comic relief. Thanks.
Hi, this is Mike Agron, and I'm absolutely honored and thrilled to have been invited by Encore Learning to present one of my favorite classes, Celebrating Perfect Vocal Harmony Groups. I'm a music aficionado, and for the last 7 years, I've created a lot of classes, and one of my favorites is this one. And the reason is I love the way a duo, a trio, or larger groups can blend their voices together almost magically and create a sound unlike anything else. Before there were musical instruments in medieval times, music was created, whether by the voice or by groups. And we're going to start our journey delving into the influences of the big band era, swing, jazz, vocalese, rock, doo-wop, the California sound of the Beach Boys, folk rock, Latin music, country music, and even the wonderful sounds of Motown. It's a wonderful 6 weeks to spend together. I've got over 75 tracks and videos that I can't wait to share with you. We'll be starting on Wednesday, November 6th through Wednesday, December 18th. I hope you'll join me. All you need is a love of music and a love of vocal harmony. Thanks again for considering my class. I hope to see you soon. This is Mike Agron saying bye for now.
Hi, I'm Sarah Parks. I'm the instructor for the estate planning class that's being offered by Encore Learning this fall. I'd like to invite you to come to the class to learn the basics of estate planning and what your options might be if you choose to do your own estate plan. There won't be any extra reading. I give you a handout with each class that's generally in the form of a PowerPoint, and hopefully that'll be all you'll need. The class is designed to answer a couple of basic questions. These are questions that I hear frequently, and they're good questions. The first is, what is estate planning? And the second is, why does it matter if I have an estate plan in place? Estate planning targets times in our lives when we may not be able to take care of our affairs for ourselves. Generally, people are living longer, but they're not living quality of life at the end of life. So we have periods of incapacity, whether it's physical incapacity or whether it's mental incapacity. And during those times, estate planning allows you now to set the guidelines for how you want to be treated and cared for during any period where you can't care for yourself. The second aspect of estate planning takes care of what happens after you die and how is your estate going to be distributed among your family and friends or whoever you're choosing to leave it to. These are the types of things that we'll talk about in class. During periods of incapacity, it's possible to name someone in a legal document who will be authorized to make medical care decisions for you. It's also possible to name somebody in a legal document that will be authorized to make financial and business transactions for you. It's also possible to set up a trust, which makes things easier for someone to take care of you if you are incapacitated, either temporarily or permanently. Because these are legal documents, if they're signed, notarized, witnessed, in other words, executed properly, they'll have the force of law behind the choices that you've made. This is very important because it allows your agent or whomever you've appointed to make decisions for you, to have the authority to go into a hospital or into your doctor's office and have the authority to make medical decisions for you. If you don't have something in writing, if you don't have something that's a legally appropriate document, then your loved ones may not have that right, or it may be given to someone that you wouldn't choose to have that right. We also discuss all of the options for having estates distributed after your death. We can use wills, we can use trusts. Depends on what your situation is and what your desires are. But if you're interested in an estate plan, if you're interested in learning about these concepts, then please come to class. Having an estate plan in place is something that makes your end of life situation much easier for yourself and for your family members. Reducing conflict is what it's all about. I hope I'll see you there.
I'm Peter Joyce, and I'm excited to be teaching a new class this fall called The Encore Years, Making Your Next Act Your Best Act. So this course came about from an article that David Brooks wrote in the Atlantic called The New Old Age. And in it, he describes this century's emerging life stage that researchers are calling the Encore Years, or the third chapter. And in the article, he points to a program at Stanford, a year-long program to help seniors plan for this next phase of their lives. And his criticism of the program is that at $60,000 a year, it won't scale and meet the masses. So I approached Encore Learning about possibly doing a class that would be more condensed on similar topics related to this phase. So if you're planning to retire, you've recently retired, or maybe you're trying to reset your retirement, this will be a great class for you to engage in with a series of participants who are on a similar life journey. It's a 6-week, either in-person or virtual course, and it will look at the research and the science that's defining this new stage. You'll hear about people like yourself who are re-engineering their lives and looking at having a bigger impact over time. We'll also consider ideas for supporting the shifting trend. Each week, we'll meet for 90 minutes, and it'll encompass a series of topics. We'll cover the trends behind this emerging stage. We'll look at wellness and brain health. We'll look at disruptions and how you plan for disruptions during this period. We'll take a look at the science behind finding your strength so that you use your strengths within this period of time, as opposed to trying to change your weaknesses, if you will. We'll also take a look at the emerging science of happiness, how we define it, what are the elements of it, and how do we take advantage of those. We'll also take a look at faith and how broadly defined some of these elements of faith are actually associated with increased longevity. And then finally, we'll take a look at paying it forward, how to have an impact on the community, on others. And again, the research is showing that not only does it benefit communities, but also our own well-being as well. Each session will consist of a thought-provoking lightning presentation that'll present a concept. Then we'll have an interactive activity, and then build on group discussions. And we'll also bring in inspiring guest speakers. There is no required reading, but we will share a lot of resources, everything from books to videos to articles, as well as each other. So if you're ready to understand this new stage and learn how to make the most of it, we welcome to what I believe will be a very powerful learning experience.
Hi, I'm Tony Arciero, and this is a brief introduction to the course on pursuit of purpose in life. Research suggests that as many as 80% of us never find out our life purpose. This has significant implications for our health, overall well-being, and even our longevity. In this course, we're going to begin the process of creating our life purpose. And I say begin because the journey will go on for a long time after the course is over. If we do it right, it will not be a journey where we wander aimlessly, wondering if we'll ever get there. It'll be a unique kind of journey, one in which we're already there right from the beginning. We'll start the course with a brief overview of the science behind life purpose, beginning with the philosophers from ancient Greece and China to the psychologists of the mid-20th century, to today, where there is an entire community of life scientists, social scientists, philosophers, and communication scholars contributing to a deeper understanding of the role of purpose in our lives and how the pursuit of a life purpose can enhance our well-being. After that very brief look at history and science, we'll get right into the hard work. This is a participatory discussion-based course, which is why the number of seats is so limited. The course will be filled with in-class exercises, discussions, and self-assessments. By the end, you'll have a map leading to your life purpose. But a bit of a spoiler alert, we'll discover that your life purpose is closely connected to where we begin, with your core values, beliefs, and interest. As T.S. Eliot said, the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. But this will not be the end for us. I'll ask that you come ready to work hard, be a little vulnerable, and support your fellow learners as we all deal with sensitive and challenging issues. For this course to be successful, we'll need to have an environment of respect and compassion. This is difficult work and it's very personal. So I'll ask that we all support each other as we learn and grow. I include an extensive resource list in the syllabus in case you're interested in digging deeper into any of the areas we cover. None of it is mandatory reading. As far as my background, I have a PhD in educational psychology, and I devoted my entire dissertation to the study of life purpose. I'm hopeful that I can offer the knowledge I gained in that process to you in a way that helps you get started on your path to purpose. I look forward to working together with you on this exciting journey.
Okay, we're ready to move on to our next area, which is history. And although there's so many aspects of history, we are thrilled that the 7 classes we're offering this time will cover a diversity of subjects, and I think you'll find them really interesting. So let's go on to the videos about history.
Hi, I'm Jim Griefer, and I'll be teaching a class in American economic history, the first 90 years, this fall. Now, in my catalog piece, I described the first 90 years of American history as kind of a growing up period, like from our gestation to our birth, our childhood, our adolescence, and so forth. And this is a fun way to think about it. But actually, my class goes much deeper than that. You see, I am an economist, both by profession and by nature. And as an economist, I see the world, its people, and its societies as being provided a set of incentives, either by nature or by other people, and a list of choices that they got to make. And they make a choice, and then, of course, they have a whole new set of incentives and choices. Now, the reason that we think this way, and the benefit for thinking this way, is that we want to know more about American history than what happened, when it happened, and who did it. We want to know why it happened. What drove our society to do this rather than that? So, for example, why did a ragtag bunch of American farmers with no army or navy try to take on the world's great superpower of the day? Now, once we fought that war, why did our leaders choose this form of government rather than that form of government? Why did one part of our country embrace industrialization while the other one did not? Why did one part of our country decided they didn't want to be part of our country anymore? And why did that lead to war? Well, these are the types of questions that I wanted answers to. And these are also the types of questions that can be answered, for the most part, by this economic method that I just described. Now, American history is fascinating, and historians are among the great writers. But when we depend only on historical narratives, we can be led astray. Sometimes we get multiple stories, and it's hard to decide which, or sometimes even how to decide which to choose. And so that's why I got into this project, to find out the whys of Americans' history. Believe me, it's been a great ride, filled with insights and surprises and fun, but mostly with answers. And that's what I want to bring to you. So join me this fall, Mondays at 2 p.m., starting October 21st. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marty Saddam, the instructor and walking tour guide for the Walks with the Rambler course. When writing Walks with Charlie, 3rd edition, a book that is a part memoir and part 2020's hindsight perspective on the history of South Arlington, I found the work of photographer and newspaper columnist J. Harry Shannon, 1869 to 1928. I was able to weave some of Shannon's stories into the book. Moreover, I became a fan of the man who died nearly 100 years ago. The research into Shannon included discovering and curating most of his published articles, over 650, and many others suspected to have been written by him before he had his own column, The Rambler, in the Washington Sunday Star. I've assembled and published a book with relevant articles and other information about Shannon and how to read his column. The course is a successor to the Walks with Charlie courses offered in the fall for the last 4 years. The course includes 5 walks featuring the history of Arlington and Alexandria, as reported by The Rambler. Added to the history will be discussions about nature, fresh air, birds, plants, trees, and maybe weather. We will also have a guest Arlington master naturalist with us on each walk. This course takes a 1900s hindsight perspective on the same general geographic area as Walks with Charlie. But instead of walking with Charlie, my dog and best friend, we walk with the Rambler, using a scrapbook compilation of the Rambler's columns about Arlington and Alexandria. This may be a different way of looking at local history, using the words of a narrator 100 years ago with walks and describing what things looked like and talking with residents and illustrating with his own photography. The course explores the following areas in succession: the Arlington National Plantation and Cemetery and Fort Myer, the Potomac Shore, and Annalaston Island and Roslyn, the Green Valley Plantation, the Preston Plantation and Alexandria, Fort Richardson, Fort Berry, and the new Convalescent Hospital. Each session provides an introduction and orientation to the tour of the day, followed by a walking tour of an area described by the Rambler Stories. Each walk is designed with consideration for adequate free parking, with a 2-mile walking circuit designed to avoid traffic, be shaded, and be generally flat. We may make stops along the route where group discussion is easier than on the fly. I plan to use the Live Voice smartphone app so all participants are able to clearly hear my comments and other instructors, and also the participant questions. The book, Walks with the Rambler, will be provided to each participant free. I hope to see and walk with you as the autumn leaves add color to our Arlington and Alexandria.
This course is the second half of ancient Greece, the first half having been covered in the last semester. We will pick up after the Persian Wars and go right into the classical period of ancient Greece. The classical period is the period of great Greek architecture, art, philosophy, and politics. We'll hear about Pericles and his politics, and Pericles and his rebuilding of the Acropolis in Athens after the Persian Wars. And we will talk about the great philosophers, Plato, Aristotle, and we will pretty much ignore the other philosophers, although there were many more than the great philosophers. So the whole period of the classical period is what most people know about ancient Greece. The previous semester was all the prologue, starting in the Stone Ages and moving forward. We will end the course with the adventures of Alexander the Great, moving off towards the east, and his death and his successors. In between, we will have the Peloponnesian Wars, the great wars between Athens and Sparta and their allies. That's about it for the whole course. You're all welcome to come. People who have had the last semester are welcome, and anybody else who is interested in just the classical period or interested in the military history of the Peloponnesian Wars, you're all welcome. 10 sessions, 2 hours each, and I'm not exactly sure what days they're on of the week, but they will be starting in October. Y'all come.
Hi, my name is Ellie Gardner-Kluge, and I am a retired high school history teacher from Arlington County. I am going to offer a class this fall here for Encore, and the name of it is American Art Through the Context of American History. And what I plan to do is take various works of American art, do it chronologically so that there's a sense of not simply the change of style in an artist over the years, but also chronologically and historically, there's an appreciation for what's going on at different times in our history. Is it reflective in the art? If it is reflective, why, and what does it all mean? So I look forward to doing that in my many years of teaching. I, in fact, not as a course per se, but integrated into a class. When I knew there was access to a particular painting of a time period, I would show it to students and see what they could guess from it. Well, I hope it was a little more than guessing, but that they could derive from it. Okay, so I want to show you the book that I plan to use. And in a sense, I hesitate to show you the book because, as far as I know, it is no longer in publication. It's from 1997, 98, something like that. All right, so I'm just going to hold the book up. And it is entitled, I don't know, is that right? American Visions, The Epic History of Art in America. And it is by, I can't do it this way, Robert Hughes, an Australian who came here to the States and really made quite a career in the study of American art. And I don't even think this is in the library anymore, but I can reassure you that the paintings that I will use are available online, any of the many museums we have here in America, plus the paintings, I will scan them so they go on what I used to call the overhead and give you the date, time period, and who the artist is, what's going on in America at that time, and as I said earlier, what can we get out of all of this? It's going to be on a Wednesday. Always liked Wednesdays when I was working. Nice way the week was beginning to end, so that was good. Anyway, Wednesdays from noon to 1:30. Okay, so I hope to see many of you then, and that you will love American art and American history as much as I do. Thank you.
My name is Tyler Anbinder, and this fall I will be teaching a course on the political crisis of the 1850s. The 1850s, of course, was a period of great political turmoil, leading, as we know, to the Civil War. In this course, we'll look at how it was possible that in 1850 itself, the nation's political leaders, such as Henry Clay, Daniel Webster, and President Millard Fillmore, were certain that they had worked out compromises that would end the slavery controversy once and for all, and set the nation on a course of peace, harmony, and prosperity. We'll start with the Compromise of 1850, the set of laws that these leaders felt certain would end the fight over slavery. We'll then look at the disintegration of the Whig Party and how that created the political circumstances that inspired the Democratic Party to overreach by undoing the compromise through the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which allowed slavery to spread to territories where it had previously been banned. The Kansas-Nebraska Act led just weeks later to the creation of the Republican Party. Initially, however, it looked like immigration would be a bigger issue than slavery in 1854, as the Know Nothing Party was the most successful new organization in that year. But we'll see that a variety of events, such as the attack by pro-slavery ruffians on the town of Lawrence, Kansas, and the brutal assault on Massachusetts Senator Charles Sumner by a South Carolina congressman, convinced most Northerners that the power of slaveholders was a bigger threat to the nation than immigrants. Many Republican leaders, such as William Seward and Salmon P. Chase, thought that they would become the party's first president. But as we will see, it was a relatively unknown young lawyer from Illinois, Abraham Lincoln, who would ultimately win that prize. The course will end with Lincoln's election in the fall of 1860. I hope you'll sign up for the class.
Hello, my name is Eric Gutler. This semester, I will be teaching a class about World War II, the largest conflict in world history. For many of us, this is a topic of great personal interest, as many of us had relatives who fought in the Second World War, as well as other Americans who, if they didn't deploy to battlefields, stayed home and worked in wartime factories. In this class, we will be examining the origins of the war, but the majority of class time will be involved following the course of military operations during the war, both in the European theater as well as in the Pacific theater. We will also be answering questions of major importance, including to what degree did ideological rather than strategic issues affect both the origins and the conduct of the war. Could Germany and the Axis powers actually have won the Second World War? And finally, why was it that the Allies prevailed in the end? Unlike other courses on this topic, we will not be paying special attention to America's role in the conflict, but we will be examining it in direct proportion to America's importance in the war. So I thank you all very much, and I hope to see you in the fall.
Hello, my name is Bill Fogarty, and I will be leading the course entitled 100 Names to Know. And there will be at least 100 stories to share. Let me share one of them. On October 23rd, 1957, there was the County Board Candidates Debate at Swanson Junior High for the upcoming election. Marjorie Taylor, an Arlington resident from the Halls Hill neighborhood, attended. When the meeting started, Marjorie Taylor got up from the black section of the auditorium and sat down in the whites only section. 3 times she was told to move, and 3 times she refused to move. Marjorie Taylor was arrested at the end of that debate. What happened to Marjorie Taylor at the criminal trial? Well, to find out about that, you have to sign up for my class, 100 Names to Know, as I share the stories of 100 individuals who were involved in ways, good and bad, in the struggle for racial equality in Arlington County from 1821 to 1971. There will be a broad range of folks, the heroes like Marjorie Taylor, but also the resistors like Jack Rathbone, who threatened to make a citizen's arrest of an Arlington minister for being an integrationist. And then there are the influencers like Judge Walter McCarthy, who presided over the criminal trial of Margaret Taylor. Judge McCarthy was a product of the Byrd machine, and his name will be one of the 100 names in the course. It is history by biography. And there will be the usual names like Dorothy Ham and Edmund Campbell, but also a lot of the forgotten names, such as Marjorie Taylor and Jack Rathbone, whose names and actions need to be remembered. I'm looking forward to sharing these stories and perhaps even getting a few more names from suggestions from those of you in the course. Thank you.
Okay, wow. I'm going through my catalog and I'm marking courses that I want to sign up for and then checking my calendar to see if it will work with my schedule. And I know I'm going to have way more than I can really actually take, but we got an exciting group there. And next, we're going to hear from our instructors who are teaching courses in the category of law, politics, and public affairs. And we have 6 courses in this category, 5 on never before offered topics, and 4 of our instructors in this category are new to Encore Learning. So let's hear what they all have to say.
Hi there, my name's Elizabeth Jones Valderrama, and I am thrilled to be an instructor for Encore Learning for the course 4011, Justice, Public Safety, and Reentry. So I'm excited to talk more about that with you, because what you are going to get to do if you join my course is you're going to meet the major leaders of the criminal legal system in the Northern Virginia area, particularly Arlington County, and you're going to do an in-person tour of the Arlington County Detention Facility. So you're not going to want to miss this course. It's going to open up your mind and heart and soul to meet and understand more about the criminal legal system, about what justice really is, and about what happens when people come back to the community and reenter. So if you want to learn more, please make sure you sign up for my course. I look forward to connecting soon. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Juliana Thompson, and I am excited to introduce to you my upcoming course with Encore Learning this fall entitled Religion and the American Presidency. I am a PhD student in the political science program at the Schar School of Policy and Government at George Mason University. The course I'm teaching this fall is an exploration of the intersection of religion and politics in the United States, spanning from the presidencies of John F. Kennedy to the current presidency of Joe Biden. We are going to dive into the religious beliefs and practices of America's presidents and examine how their beliefs have influenced political decisions, shaped American identity, and also have been used as a powerful tool for political mobilization. Our journey is going to begin in October with a broad historical overview of the relationship between religion and the presidency, specifically highlighting how religion has been a defining characteristic of the office since the founding of the country. We're then going to move chronologically, starting in 1961 through subsequent administrations. We're going to address some key topics that include the mobilization of the religious right during Ronald Reagan's presidency and the increase of secularism in the most recent years under Presidents Obama, Trump, and Biden. In our final session, we're going to look ahead to the future of religion and politics in the American presidency and see how things may play out going forward. My teaching style is highly interactive, and I believe in the power of open discussion, and I encourage you to bring your questions and topics of interest to class. I'll kick off our sessions by providing my insights and a few remarks about the recommended readings to kind of set the stage, and then we'll dive into a discussion where your perspectives and questions are not only explored, but valued. So who should take this course? Well, if you have an interest in history, the American presidency, or the significant role of religion, and the role that it plays in America, this course is definitely for you. I think if you're a history enthusiast or a political science buff, or simply just curious about these topics and how they interact and exist with each other, I think you'll find this course very engaging and enlightening. So thank you for considering the course Religion and the American Presidency with Encore Learning. I think it will be a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing you in the fall.
Hello, I'm Ann Vorderbrugge. The title of my course comes from the fact that the promise of America as the land of opportunity is contradicted by the reality that millions of people work hard, play by the rules, but can barely get by, much less get ahead. Just a little about me. I'm a 45-year resident of Arlington, and I recently retired from the Arlington Community Foundation. I've had an amazingly rich career working for local nonprofits, the Arlington County Department of Human Services, and in Arlington schools on behalf of people living under severe economic pressures. I've witnessed their hopes for themselves and their children, their living conditions, and the barriers they face in trying to get by and get ahead. 10 years ago, I joined the Arlington Community Foundation to lead their initiatives on critical issues affecting our community. The foundation makes the case for how the availability of truly affordable housing and childcare and living wage opportunities are critical to the viability and health of our community. I think for most of us, the concept of poverty is so big and complicated, it's hard to wrap our brains around it. And that it's equally hard to wrap our brains around the fact that we do have poverty in this wealthy, award-winning community of ours. So my hope is that in these 5 weeks, I can pull the curtain back and make the issue more real and examine why it matters that we address the displacement of low-wage earners in our community. I'll call on guests from local government, schools, and community nonprofits to bring perspective, and you'll also hear stories from low-income residents who contribute to our community, who are our neighbors, but they're losing their foothold in their home here. We'll look at local data on the cost of living versus what low-wage folks actually make here. We'll follow the story of an ambitious woman who illustrates how our public benefits policies actually disincentivize her from increasing her income. You might be surprised by what you learn about the structural forces at play that keep many people in poverty. And we'll explore promising strategies and investments that can shift these dynamics. For these, I'll borrow heavily from the work of Matthew Desmond in his book, Poverty by America, and Dr. Derek Hamilton, a renowned economist who has laid out a vision for a human rights economy. Both are hopeful that capitalism can be a force for good for all if our policies don't prioritize subsidizing affluence over alleviating poverty. I'd like the class to be interactive and comfortable for discussion, and I'll be open to feedback from you along the way. I hope to see you in my class.
Hello, I am Michael Richardson, and I am presenting this course on how to align your money with your values. I am the co-convener of Third Act Upstate New York, and I'm also the co-convener of Rivers and Mountains Green Faith. Both organizations are committed to the climate finance campaign on helping in the rapid transition away from fossil fuels to renewable energy. This course is offered to individuals and organizations to learn how to prevent their bank deposits, credit cards, insurance premiums, and investments from being used to finance the fossil fuel industry, and instead fund local businesses, community housing, and development of renewable clean energy. The workshop is in 4 parts. The first part on personal banking. There we will learn how the money that you have in deposits and in certificates of deposits are being used to fund ventures causing climate destruction. And more importantly, we're going to learn how to find regional and local community banks and credit unions that use your deposits to fund local ventures and not fossil fuel projects. Simply put, shop local, eat local, bank local. We'll then look at credit cards. And here again, if you have a credit card with one of the major Wall Street banks, the money from the transaction fees and other fees is feeding into that money pipeline to finance fossil fuel companies. We'll learn how to find alternative credit cards. Third, we're going to go into home and auto insurance. And here you'll learn how your premiums are being used by the large insurance companies to both insure and invest in fossil fuel projects. We're going to learn how to find mutual insurance companies that do not insure nor invest in fossil fuel projects. And last section will deal with your investments. Mostly this is mutual funds and exchange traded funds. And we're going to look at the large asset managers as they are among the largest investors in fossil fuel companies. We want to learn how to find funds that you are now investing in and alternative funds that are available, and also how to find an environmentally conscious financial advisor. Very much look forward to having you in the class. This is an interactive workshop. We will have guest speakers, and we will also have some hands-on tools to learn how to find alternatives to align your money with your values. Goodbye.
Hi, I hope you'll join me this fall for a spirited exploration of the 5 freedoms of the First Amendment. That's religion, speech, press, assembly, and petition. You know, those freedoms define who we are as Americans, but most of us don't get a chance to learn about the ideas behind those freedoms, how they developed, or how our founders shaped those concepts into the personal liberty and unique rights that we enjoy today. We'll use that information to discuss in the latter weeks of the course where those freedoms are headed. What are the factors that will shape the First Amendment? If you enroll, you'll also get a free advanced copy of my new book, The First Amendment in the 21st Century, From the Village Green to the Village Screen. So who am I leading this conversation? I spent the first half of my professional life as a journalist, working in daily newspapers, radio, TV, and online. I'm one of the founding editors of USA Today. It was an innovative and groundbreaking newspaper that people now see the design as anticipating the age of the internet. The second half of my career has been focused on the First Amendment, what those 5 freedoms mean to us today, where did they come from, and where are they going as our nation changes and adapts. First Amendment and our freedoms will adapt. I look forward to seeing you in class this fall. It should be fun, informative, and stimulating, I hope, every week.
Hi, welcome to Encore Course 4054, Implications of the Russia-Ukraine War Beyond Ukraine. It's a course that will provide you with a deeper understanding of the current global geopolitical landscape. I'm Rich Koslerich, your guide for this journey. I'm a distinguished visiting professor at the Schar School of Policy and Government at George Mason University, and I teach graduate courses in the geopolitics of energy, security, theory and practice of public policy, and policy communications. And I'm also co-director of the Center for Energy Science and Policy. I served 40 years as a Foreign Service officer and senior intelligence officer, and among other Foreign Service assignments in Africa and Israel, I was U.S. Ambassador to Azerbaijan and Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for European Affairs. and I was the National Intelligence Counsel for Europe at the National Intelligence Council. As of February 24, 2022, Russia's invasion of Ukraine set in motion a series of events that are reshaping the global geopolitical landscape. The future is uncertain, and the implications of this war are global, affecting not only the US and Russia, but also other regions where their interests intersect, such as Gaza and Africa and Central Asia, as well as relations with China. There are no crystal balls to tell us how much the world will change, but we can confidently say that the war in Ukraine will continue and impact the global geopolitical setting in the years ahead. CIA Director Bill Burns recently wrote an article in Foreign Affairs about the CIA in the age of competition. It's important to read this analysis because it shows how the geopolitical world is changing. We can't predict the war's outcome, and yet we must explore how the disruptions from the war in Ukraine may lead to conflict or cooperation in areas at the geographic periphery of Ukraine. Questions abound. What's the role of an expanded NATO? How will these disruptions affect energy security along with the quest for clean energy? And how effective will economic sanctions be in the future? So in 4 sessions, we'll delve into these issues, particularly those related to the South Caucasus, Turkey, Iran, and the Balkans and Eastern Europe, energy security, and economic sanctions. And by the end of this course, you will have a deeper understanding of the geopolitical implications of the Russia-Ukraine war. I look forward to seeing you in the fall.
We're now at about a halfway point in the videos, and I think Jean and Deb may pop on as well. We're going to be happy to answer any questions that you might post in the Q&A. So please do that. And while you think of your questions, we're going to show a couple of quick tutorial videos, helpful videos that will help you get ready to register on Monday morning. Registration opens at 10 a.m. And at that time, you can register for particular classes. It'll change from it says read only right now, but you'll be able to register at that point at 10 a.m. on Monday. So I'm going to show a registration video and then a video about our new exciting way to access class media. So feel free to, if you registered before, you can go get your cup of coffee, and we'll be back to answer your questions in a few minutes.
Hi, I'm Marty Saddam, and I'll walk you through a quick familiarization tour of the registration process. The system has not changed in the last 3 years. However, since you only do this twice a year, pre-registration familiarization might be useful. After viewing this short video, I would suggest you take a few minutes to familiarize yourself with the system prior to registration. This presentation will provide you some key things for you to prepare. This recording will be made available on Encore Learning website should you want to later refresh your memory. This is the outline for a brief discussion that will walk through the following topics related to course registration: login, class information and selection, what is suggested you should do before registration and at registration time, shopping and checkout, and lastly, frequently asked questions. You can access course registration directly from the Encore Learning homepage. Links, register for events, courses, or through member login. Each requires a user ID and password for entry, but they go to the same location. See links at the arrows. If you only want to look at the course catalog without logging in, go to the View Courses button. You can also view the catalog when logged in. I suggest you verify your user ID and password prior to start of registration by logging in. You can log into the system at any time. Logging in prior to registration will allow you to familiarize yourself with site navigation and also practice viewing courses as you might during registration. Before registration, you have full functional capability except for the actual registry. You can view a catalog listing of courses by selecting the link for all classes, arrow 1. You can use the pull-down menus to select by location, day of the week, and time, arrow 2. It would be wise to practice with this page before registration as you are trying to make up your mind on which courses to take. Remember that because of class limitation restrictions are less with our Zoom and hybrid classes, the pressure to select and pay for a course should not be as much an issue as it had been when classroom size became the major class restriction. When registration is active, you can view the classes you have added to your cart by using the Cart tool. This slide is an example of using the filter pull-down menus using the location, day, and time filters for finding classes at GMU on Tuesday morning. The next steps, whether before registration or during, are to review courses and decide on courses you want to take. You cannot select courses ahead of registration start time. The Read Only button does not link to anything. At registration start time, the Read Only button will change to Register Now. If you have the page open before registration starts, you should plan to refresh the browser page. This is the dialog when you have added a course to your cart. Your options are to continue shopping or view cart and check out. As with most online shopping, at any point you can return to your cart in the main menu and check out. Should you decide to delete a selected course in your My Cart, you simply go to the cart at any time before checkout and select X Delete. Once you decide to check out, you will be offered an opportunity to donate to Encore Learning. Select an amount from the drop-down, arrow 1, and then select the Add Donation button, arrow 2. Then continue to checkout, arrow 3. After you have selected your courses, you view My Cart. You will need to select your new cart information from the Select a Payment Method pull-down menu, then select Process Payment. This will open a page to enter your payment information in the text input windows. This is the same type of process you use when checking out of many electronic purchases. Note, Encore Learning does not retain any of your credit card information, so you will need to enter it. Also note the 20-minute time limit restriction, read instructions, to complete your purchase. In fairness to all, this is the same limit we have had in past years and is to prevent purchases in the cart from not allowing other members from purchasing. Once you have successfully submitted payment, you will receive a thank you confirmation page. The page has a button that will allow you to print confirmation if you wish. If you want or need more help, go to the FAQ menu. Then go to Registration FAQs. The most frequently asked questions are at the start of the guide. For example, how do I make my registration day as smooth as possible? I want to get my favorite class. And that answer is a great summary for this presentation. Take action early. Get your password and review your account, updating contact information as needed. Email staff any change to your email address as this affects your account access. Temporarily jot down your password so you have it ready to go on registration day. Go through the membership renewal process to refamiliarize yourself with the system. If you don't need to renew, log out before making payment. Contact staff with any issues well in advance of the first day of course registration. It's also important to note that while registration begins at 10 a.m., it continues and you can register anytime up until the course begins, or even after the first class, if there is space available. I hope this 6-minute tutorial has been helpful. Thank you.
And we're now going to have a video about the new class media access.
Welcome to the Encore Learning tutorial, Accessing Current Courses Class Media. This 4-minute video was created to assist Encore Learning members with use of the new, as of August 2024, method to access course media for an enrolled course. Over the last several years, members have sometimes had trouble accessing some class media on different devices through our member account system. To facilitate an easier access, we have added a new website that improves access and viewing. This is the outline for this video. First, I'll review steps for the new process and demonstrate viewing and access to various course media. Next, I'll demonstrate what a member can expect when viewing course after a course is completed. The new features are as follows. 1. A website link and password in the class reminder email sent to class participants 2 to 3 days before each course begins. 2. A document in the old class media system in ASAP, your member account, with the link password. This will be the only document in the class media during the course. 3. When a new document is posted to class media, class members will receive an email as they did in the past. The email will include the link and password. And lastly, members can also link to class media from the Access Class Media links on the Encore Learning website using the same password they received in feature 1 or 2 above. This is an example of a new class media web page using the link and password as shown above. But access will also be available from the Encore Learning website. You will be able to access the sample at any time to familiarize yourself with its contents. I'll scroll down slowly on the page and you can see the different types of information, including the details of where the class is located and the information about the class, and the Zoom login information, as well as links that are in pink or red, depending on your vision and your display. When you click on a link, it will open in your browser. You might open the website such as the Encore Learning Frequently Asked Questions page. Or you might open up a PDF such as the parking map. When you open up a PDF, Chrome will deploy tools such as print and download, as well as you can always favorite a page so you can get back to it. Then you could always return to the sample page by clicking on the tab above. For the fall 2024 semester, the easiest way to access the class media page is to go to Encore Learning homepage, then the courses pull-down menu, then select Access Class Media. A page will then display the courses along with hypertext links to the class media, and you can access with the password provided earlier. Once your course is completed, this page will be moved to your account page, Class Media tab, with historic enrollments access as in prior semesters. After you have accessed the Class Media page and wish to return to the home page, you can click on the Encore Learning logo to return. Once your course is completed, the course media page will be moved to your archived course media. Access to it will be as in the past, and should you need a refresher, it is available by going to the Frequently Asked Questions FAQ link. How do I access material from a previous course? Follow the steps described. We thank you for your time and attention. We hope you found our presentation informative.
We had a question about where in the catalog can we find information about whether or not a course will be recorded. That information is not in your print catalog. That is only in the online catalog, because decisions about which courses could be recorded were made after the print catalog went to press. So go to the online catalog to see whether or not a course that you're interested in is going to be among those that is recorded.
Great. I think that's the only incoming question we've had. If people post questions, we can respond to them during the upcoming previews or following the previews. We have a couple more segments where, again, the break was about our halfway point. So I think I'll hand it over. Is it Deb? Are you going to preview the next section?
Yes, I'm very happy to introduce literature and writing because I love all these classes. I just don't know which ones I can fit in my schedule, and I think you'll be very excited about them as well. We have all new classes. We have 8 in this area, and let's go ahead and start the video so you can see for yourself.
I'm Tom Mantufel, and my course this term at Encore Learning is on Shakespeare, and in particular on his magnificent history play, King Henry IV, Part 1. It's among the most popular and widely performed of Shakespeare's plays today, and it was so already in his lifetime. What interests me about this play is exactly how Shakespeare molded and adapted his source materials. Collapsing events, pulling scenes out of other contexts, shuffling his characters, all in the service of balancing dramatic forces and heightening the drama for his audience. This is the play where Falstaff first appears and threatens to take over the stage. It is brilliant comedy, but what must have been most astonishing to the Elizabethan audience, I think, was the startling mixture of the highest and the lowest social orders as the play's scenes alternate between the royal court of Henry IV and young Prince Hal carousing with the lowest levels of London society and Cheapside. How much of that was Shakespeare's invention, and how much of that was already in his source materials? When he did change things, what's changed and why? We'll try to look at this magnificent play from the author's point of view, as he made his choices about what to present and how. We'll also examine the events happening to and around Shakespeare as he was writing this play, both personal and professional, including, by the way, the greatest tragedy ever to befall Shakespeare. I think you will come away with a deeper understanding and appreciation for this play, which Shakespeare scholar Jonathan Bate has said contains the single greatest scene Shakespeare ever wrote. So if all of that sounds interesting to you, join us for 4 weeks starting in November, Shakespeare's Henry IV, Part 1.
Hello, my name is Jenny Sullivan. I've taught a half a dozen or so literature courses at Encore, and this semester I'm offering poetry, all you really need to know. People in my past literature classes have asked for such a course, and I hope that this one fits the bill. I've selected poems that I really like and plan to discuss with you why I like them so much, and to hear from you about your reactions to them. If you already love poetry, this course should be quite enjoyable for you. Hearing poetry read aloud and discussing the skillful mechanics of a poem and the challenges of its content are a lot of fun for people who love poetry. But even if you don't love poetry, even if poetry is for you what trigonometry was for me in high school, I'm planning on this course opening a door for you to something new that you can enjoy and become engaged with. So I have purposely selected a variety of poems from a variety of poets to appeal to a variety of tastes. Some are classic poems, some are modern. Some will rhyme, some won't. Some will be thematically moving, some will just be fun. But they will all have the skillful use of language and sound, which are, I would contend, the gateways to love poetry. We will take a good hard look at the rigorous features of the poems that cause them to be considered worthy and make them pleasing to many. Among the poets we will read are Dylan Thomas, Countee Cullen, Edgar Allan Poe, Emily Dickinson, Geoffrey Chaucer, Allen Ginsberg, E.E. Cummings, Maxine Cumin, George Herbert, and many more. All the poems will be online. If you want to suggest poems for us to look at, that would be great, and we'll do as much of that as we can. I'm excited for this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to meeting with another great group of Encore Learning folks.
Hello, I'm Rosemary Jan. I'm a retired professor from the English department at George Mason University. My specialty there was Victorian literature, But this term, I'm switching gears a bit to teach a course on the novel Demon Copperhead, which won a Pulitzer Prize for Barbara Kingsolver in 2023. The connection lies in the fact that Kingsolver drew her inspiration from Charles Dickens' 1850 classic, David Copperfield. Both novels are autobiographies of orphan boys struggling to reach young manhood, and both stories take aim at the obstacles that their societies put in their way. In Demon's case, that society is Lee County, Virginia, which borders Kentucky and Tennessee coal country in the very southwest tip of our state. Demon's suffering as a boy caught up in the child welfare bureaucracy and victimized by the opioid crisis in the 1990s is raw and at times can feel relentless, but we're saved from despair by the comic voice that Kingsolver invents for him, a distinctly American voice that I would locate in the tradition of Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn. Like Huck Finn, Demon is another neglected child forced to be wise beyond his years, and a spunky underdog who beats the odds with the assistance of some kind adults and his own resilience. Like Twain, Kingsolver creates a voice that celebrates the richness and humor of Southern vernacular speech and channels the characteristic sensibilities of an adolescent boy. While her novel is clear-eyed about the failings of Appalachia, it also explores the roots of its problems and writes a love letter to its strengths. This is a novel that's definitely going to make you think twice about the meanings of the term hillbilly. Kingsolver's novel stands on its own merit, so it's not essential to have read David Copperfield before this class. However, I think that at least familiarizing yourself with Dickens' novel will greatly increase your appreciation of how Kingsolver is reimagining it for a different era, class, and culture. I'll provide sources to help you do that, and I will consider these connections in our first class. Although I will give short lectures from time to fill in background, this will be a discussion-based course. I'll provide you with weekly questions to guide your reading and our class conversations. I think that Demon Copperhead is a terrific read, well on its way to becoming an American classic, and I hope you'll join me to explore it in the fall. Thank you.
Hi, I'm John Fordresher, a retired university professor from Georgetown. I'm going to offer a 4-week Encore Learning course in the fall, dealing with 5 tales by Henry James. The term is his, and he's interested in a kind of writing, a kind of story, which is in between the traditional short story and the full dress novel. And we're going to read texts that span 20 years of his working life. The stories are about characters who offer strong interest to the reader. And as with James, always we're interested in who's telling the story, about the issues of the narrator. The stories include Daisy Miller, the Aspern Papers. Third week will be 2 stories, The Lesson of the Master and the Figure in the Carpet. And the final week will be The Turn of the Screw. I'll post a week in advance topics that each session will discuss. During the sessions, there'll be some PowerPoint slides illustrating passages from the relevant texts for the week. And there will be at least 2 intervals when I will pause and we will allow participants to ask questions, maybe present an idea or 2 to the group, so that there'll be a really valid discussion format for each session. Might be helpful for people who want to do this to buy the Penguin paperback, the Aspern Papers, and Other Tales, edited by Michael Gora, and then they could get their own copies of Daisy Miller and The Turn of the Screw. These are great stories, lots of fun to read. They'll take us to Rome, Venice, London in the 1880s, and then into the British countryside. Lots of fascinating things to encounter. And I hope you might consider joining us. Thanks very much.
Greetings. My topic for these lectures is the wisdom tradition in the Old Testament in the Hebrew Bible. We all know about the law and the prophets, where God does a lot of speaking, but the wisdom tradition is where human beings speak. We could call it the intellectual tradition behind the entire Old Testament. It's linked to the intellectual traditions of ancient Egypt, ancient Mesopotamia, and ancient Canaan. In the ancient world, just as today, scholars traveled, shared ideas, and wrote to each other. Took a bit longer for messages to be delivered, took a bit longer to travel, but there was this cultural diffusion of which the Old Testament represents a small part. Of course, there are the three wisdom books that we all know, the book of Job, the book of Proverbs, and the book of Ecclesiastes. But the wisdom tradition permeates the whole of the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, and as we'll see, spills into the New Testament. I will argue, for example, that the story of the man and the woman in the garden, the Adam and Eve story, is not about disobedience, it's not about sex, though sex is involved, but it's about acquiring knowledge and wisdom. The woman is the heroine. When we come, for example, to King Solomon, who is known for his wisdom, we're told that Solomon spoke about many things. He spoke about botany, from the cedar in Lebanon, the biggest, to the hyssop little plant growing in the wall. And behind all of these are the great lists, the great onomastica that scholars learned from and pupils were taught, the lists of things. And we'll look at these in the book of Job, lists of meteorological phenomenon, lists of mining phenomena, all kinds of lists. And so what I will try to do with you is to present this intellectual, scholarly, lively tradition, which in fact is the tradition without which the law and the prophets would not exist, because it was the scholars who wrote them down, who transmitted them, and who shared them. I'm a big fan of the wisdom tradition, as you can probably hear, and I so look forward to sharing what is now probably about 60 years of study of these books and the wisdom tradition in the Hebrew Bible with you. I look forward to meeting you in person and on Zoom. And thank you very much, and have a good summer.
What do you suppose an English playwright, William Shakespeare, of course, writing well over 400 years ago, can tell us about the nature of power and its abuses, the behavior, or rather the misbehavior of rulers, and the responses of the ruled that is relevant for the present, especially in this divisive contemporary moment. In the 6 weeks that are allotted to us from October 11th to November 15th, we will explore the manipulative performances of Richard III, who smiles in his villainy, the destructive ambition of Macbeth and his lady unto madness, and the arrogant certainties of Coriolanus, which lead to violence, betrayal, and death. Don't be surprised at the ironic familiarity of these 16th and 17th century actors, particularly in this 2024 election year.
Hello, my name is Michael Collins. I taught for almost 40 years English and American literature at Georgetown University, and I've continued to teach for Encore Learning since my retirement in 2020. The course I'm teaching in the fall is called 8 Modern British Poets, and we will look at 1 or 2 poems by each of those 8 poets. While the course from time to time will inevitably consider the context of the poems, its main focus is on the poems themselves, and the classes will be devoted primarily to a close and careful reading of each poem in order to discover what the poem says and also what the poem does, the impact that it makes on its readers because of the language that the poet chooses and because of his use of the traditional poetic techniques of English literature. While some, but not all of the poems may be difficult initially, one goal of the course is to make the work of these remarkable poets more accessible, more enjoyable, more rewarding if you go on to read their other work. The course will consist of 5 classes. After an introduction in the first one, we will begin simply to look at 1 or 2 poems by each poet as we move through the semester. The last class, or actually the last half of the last class, will be devoted to a look back at some of the issues that have been raised in the class, and also a consideration of what other poets one might have included in a course such as this. There'll be time for discussion in each of the classes. The 8 poets are Gerard Manley Hopkins, Thomas Hardy, W.B. Yeats, Wilfred Owen, T.S. Eliot, W.H. Auden, Dylan Thomas, and Philip Larkin. Gerard Manley Hopkins died in 1889, and Philip Larkin died in 1985. And so what we get is about 100 years of modern British poetry covered in the course. All the poems we shall read will be available in the course file, which participants can access once they've registered for the course. I've gathered together all the poems and put them in a single file. So if you'd like to spend the fall reading some poetry, looking closely at the way poetry works, I'd welcome you to join 8 modern British poets.
What might we discover if we looked at work of the famous British women authors alongside the work of American women authors? Hi, I'm Janet Otten, and I'm thinking we should do just that this fall. I found a book called Classic Works from Women Writers, a selection of stories, poems, even some short novels by British and American women writers of the 19th and early 20th century, the so-called golden age of women's writing. We'll start in 1818 with a short, superb first novel by Mary Shelley called Frankenstein, and end the course a century later, around 1918, with Virginia Woolf's first novel. We can trace how British Romanticism came to America at the turn of the 19th century in popular Gothic novels, and how that Gothic strain seeped into American women's realism by the turn of the 20th century. It shows up in stories by Mary Wilkins Freeman and Ellen Glasgow. Of course, we'll consider familiar American authors too, like Emily Dickinson and Charlotte Perkins Gilman, and later Edith Wharton in Willa Cather. We'll talk about some less familiar writers as well, such 19th century authors as Elizabeth Gaskell. And then in the 20th century, there's Agatha Christie, the best-selling mystery writer of all time. I think she can help us investigate why and how some works are considered classics. The 2-hour class is entirely on Zoom, revolves around PowerPoint presentations, but I encourage, in fact, depend on your participation in the chat room with the idea of a reading circle where you can share your reactions, your responses with each other continuously online as we go. And you asked for a longer 8-week course? Well, maybe now's the time to do it. So join me this fall in our Friday morning reading circle for 8 weeks of exploring the lives and works of some great writers from both sides of the Atlantic.
Oh, wow. Okay. 10 years ago, when I first joined Encore Learning, it was the literature courses that really drew me in. So that was all very exciting. So we have a final section of videos about our courses in science and technology and the social sciences. So let's hear what they have to say.
Regardless of your chosen sources for news and information, you're likely bombarded with the results of scientific studies, surveys, polls, and the like. But do the findings always make sense to you? Do you sometimes question their methods? Have you wondered what terms like margin of error and randomized control study really mean? Here's a simple example. Arlington Now often reports the median price of homes sold in the county in the previous month. But is median the same as mean, as average? The answer is, it depends. I'm Mike Stutz. I'm a retired academic neuropsychologist who has taught Encore's Aging in the Brain course for 3 semesters. What I'm not is a mathematician or a statistician. There will be no equations in this course. While I had to pass such courses to earn my degrees, the materials and concepts rarely came easily to me. Hence, one of my strongest motivations for offering this course. My objective is that participants will finish this course as more discerning consumers of the workings of science and its findings. We will first unpack the rationale and processes underlying the scientific method as the foundation of scientific inquiry. We will then overview, without equations, statistical methods that are used not only to make sense of a study's collected data, but sometimes to test the soundness of the study itself. Next, we will review how findings obtained through statistical analyses are interpreted and presented. And finally, we'll consider ways in which science can sometimes miss the mark. If you'd like to learn more about how the science sausage is made, I'm looking forward to showing you in November.
Hi, my name is Linda Berg, and I'll be the instructor for the course Neuroscience of the Senses. I am retired from the Central Intelligence Agency, where I was a scientist working on nuclear-related issues. My background is physics and math, and I have a PhD in physics. So I've always been interested in why people behave the way they do. So once I was retired, I started taking neuroscience, and psychology, anthropology, sociology courses at George Mason University. And part of the curriculum in some of these courses covered how our senses actually work, which I found pretty absolutely fascinating, actually. So you really don't see with your eyes or hear with your ears, smell with your nose, and taste with your mouth. There are specialized cells and tissues within these sense organs that receive the raw stimuli, which is the input from your environment, and then translate them into signals that the nervous system can use. And the nerves, which are also called neurons, relay those signals to the brain, which interprets them along with other information from the other senses and from your previous experiences and so on. And then they translate that into, what you're seeing, what you hear, smell, taste, and touch. So this class is 10 weeks long. There's a lot of information to cover. The first class will go over some basics that you need to know to get the most out of the rest of the class. It'll go over the nervous system, the brain and the different parts of the brain involved in the various senses, and talk in more detail about the nerve cells, which are the neurons, that carry the information that your sense organs take in and then send to the brain. So the subsequent classes will focus on one of the senses. Some of the senses we may take 2 classes because there's a lot in some of them. And so you actually have more than the 5 basic senses, which we're all aware of, which is, your sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. So we'll cover the auditory system, which is your hearing, the visual system, which is sight, the olfactory system, which is smell, the gustatory system, which is taste, and then the somatosensory system, which actually covers touch and pain and temperature, the vestibular system, which has to do with your balance, and proprioception, which has to do with your body awareness. So during the discussion of the various senses, we'll also look at some of the problems that can occur with each and why from a neuroscience perspective, some comparisons to various animals and how their senses are different from the humans and why, and just some rather odd issues such as folks being able to hear, hear colors, feel sounds, and taste shapes and why. I mean, that's called synesthesia. So there's, the senses are crossing in the brain. So the last class will sort of be wrapping things up and look at some of the current research questions. So looking forward to the class. Thank you.
Hello, my name is David Young, and I have served as coordinator for the Introduction to Birding class at Encore Learning. This is an awesome class that will unleash your passion for birding. This Introduction to Fall Birding class is timed to coincide with the autumn migration, when incredible numbers of birds migrate from breeding grounds in the north, passing through our area to where they winter far south in Central and South America. The class will consist of 4 sessions in 4 separate locations around Arlington, with 4 separate expert naturalist instructors to expose you to different parks and habitats. These instructors will share their infectious passion for birding and will share the basics for identifying raptors, songbirds, and waterfowl, and how to effectively use binoculars. They will introduce useful tools to get you right into birding. One of the most amazing tools is the Merlin app from the Cornell Ornithology Department, which can provide excellent assistance in identifying birds by sound and sight. I am a strong Merlin fan and have used it on many hikes and walks locally and even around the world. Other tools like Birdcast Migration Dashboard and eBird will help you contribute to citizen crowdsourcing of bird data and help you start and share your own bird lists. The instructors will describe local birding groups and walks that welcome and support beginners. We get many participants who repeat and come back for more. To learn more from these talented and enthusiastic teachers and to experience the class in different seasons, I encourage you to sign up for this class. There's a good chance that it will greatly enhance your appreciation of nature and parks, and you might become a lifelong birder. Happy birding.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Summers. I will be teaching an Encore Learning course this coming fall that's entitled Becoming a Spacefaring Civilization. My background is in planetary sciences. I study how planets form, how they evolve, and how they sometimes die. And my particular interest is in planetary habitability. What is it that makes a planet habitable? We are living at a very special time in human history. In the past few decades, space exploration has gone from being science fiction to science fact. We are sending robotic spacecraft and humans into space routinely. With robotic spacecraft, we've explored all the planets in our solar system and many of the moons. and we have sent spacecraft even beyond the bounds of our solar system. We have thousands of satellites in Earth orbit that continually monitor and support communication, navigation, weather and climate modeling, and more. We also have permanently staffed observatories in space, space stations. It's fair to say that space exploration is now plays a central role in many aspects of human affairs, in particular the global economy. We have discovered that there are vast resources, including water, rare metals, and rich carbon deposits on the moon and asteroids. These resources can be used to make oxygen, rocket fuel, construction materials, and many other things. We have found that all these materials that are needed to build permanent habitats and to live permanently in space are already there and readily available. Entirely new disciplines have been created in the past 2 decades, such as space law, who owns these things, space medicine, how do you treat someone in zero gravity or low gravity, space manufacturing, space robotics, and more. These are now becoming the foundations for entirely new industries that are taking shape in the space economy. And finally, all of the major military organizations in the world well understand that space is the ultimate high ground for future military conflicts. These organizations are developing space applications for both defensive and, unfortunately, offensive capabilities. In response to this, the U.S. has formed a new branch of the military called the U.S. Space Force, which aims to support the free and safe exploration of space. In this Encore Learning course, I will discuss what we can expect over the next few decades of space exploration. I will also discuss how human and robotic space exploration is essential for the long-term survival of the human race. I hope you can join us. Thank you.
My name is Dr. Susan Purrs. I'm excited to be teaching a course for Encore Learning this fall. It's called Jaguars, Amazon, Pantanal, and Climate Change. And I traveled to the Pantanal, which is 500 miles south of the Amazon, in 2022, and I filmed a documentary feature film that is also an adventure film and a climate change documentary. So it's solution focused, it's uplifting, and I'll be using parts of it. I'll show parts of it at a time so we can have discussion and talk about some of the issues related to climate change and how it's affecting the global south and also us, because the Amazon affects our weather and we cannot solve climate change without the Amazon. And the Amazon is endangered, and so is the Pantanal. So being out on the rivers filming jaguars is pretty exciting, and I know you'll love that part of it. So it'll be a learning experience together. And I have a short version of this film. It's a 20-minute documentary that's been at 6 film festivals over the last 9 months. It won Best Short Documentary at Her Vision International Film Festival in New York in May. And it also won the Habitat Preservation Award from Cinema Verde Environmental Film Festival in Gainesville, Florida in April. And it was also awarded Outstanding Excellence from another film festival. So, and if you're interested in film or would like to learn about how to submit to film festivals or how to do a documentary, I'll be happy to share some information about that as well. And we'll also look at some short films and clips from, from other documentaries that shed some light about the Amazon, and we'll have discussion every week. So I'm really looking forward to getting to know you all and learning together and imagining we're back out on the rivers in the Pantanal, filming jaguars and seeing amazing, beautiful scenery, and thinking about things that we can do to make a difference to help these areas and ourselves. Because there are many research-based solutions in this film that I think you'll find exciting. So I look forward to meeting you in the fall, and thank you for your time and attention.
Hello, my name is Paul Reinhardt, and I will be teaching a course on hearing science and audiology in the fall semester of 2024. for Encore Learning. I'm a hearing scientist by training and received my PhD in communication disorders from Northwestern University. I have done auditory research in university and government settings, as well as most recently, I've been working in the hearing technology industry, developing and researching new technologies, including hearing aids and cochlear implants for mitigating or treating hearing loss. This course will provide an overview of the science behind how our ears and brains make sense of vibrations in the air, otherwise known as sound. This is a complex and fascinating physiological process that inevitably changes throughout the aging process. In this course, we'll start with understanding how we hear. So the ear itself is divided into three subparts. The outer ear, which includes the pinna, which is essentially a fancy cartilaginous funnel to get sound into the ear canal. The middle ear, which includes the tympanic membrane or eardrum, as well as the three ossicles, which are the smallest bones in the human body. And then the inner ear, which includes the cochlea, where vibrations are turned into electrophysiological signals, which are sent up along the auditory pathway throughout the brainstem and into the primary auditory cortex, where our brains are able to make sense of sound. Once we understand how normal hearing anatomy and physiology works, we will be able to explore the various causes and trajectories of hearing impairments, including presbycusis, or age-related hearing loss. We'll also explore the effects of hearing loss on individuals' hearing, as well as overall wellness. We will explore how hearing is tested and evaluated in a clinical setting and various aspects of the hearing healthcare system. There have been some recent developments, including recent congressional mandate legalizing over-the-counter hearing aids. Lastly, we will explore various solutions or ways of mitigating hearing impairment. These include how we can optimize our listening environment to reduce noise and other distracting signals, how talkers can improve the way they communicate to you, as well as how individuals themselves can set themselves up for optimized hearing. And last, we will explore various hearing technologies that can be used to mitigate hearing loss. These include hearing aids, which is, of course, is what everyone thinks of, but also personal sound amplification products, implantable solutions, including cochlear implants or bone conduction implantable devices. So that's just a little overview of what the course will entail, and hope to see you there.
Good morning. Two of the most popular courses of Encore Learning have been global hotspots and legal hotspots. For those interested in technology, we now introduce a new course, Technology Hotspots. Technology dominates our lives. Computers, tablets, smartphones, heating and cooling, appliances, transportation, and medicines are just a few common technologies. In 5 sessions, our experts will provide the basic knowledge needed to understand these technologies. Our first guest will be the well-known mathematician Steve Shapiro, who will discuss artificial intelligence. He will explain the developments of artificial intelligence has evolved over the past 40 years and what the future may hold. He will describe both the opportunities and risks of this emerging technology and show examples of how it is already having an impact on science, business, and our personal lives. I will lead the second session on 3D printing, covering methods of printing and specific examples of professional and amateur 3D products. 3D printing is widely used technology for construction and manufacturing by millions of professionals and hobbyists. Commercial prototypes of many products are 3D printed, and some very complex products can only be produced by 3D printers. Now 3D printers use plastics, metal, concrete, clay, and even frosting to decorate cakes. The third session will be by Susan Ham, who will discuss recent advances in renewable energy technologies. As the country moves towards a clean energy transition, renewable energy technologies for power generation, heating, cooling, and energy storage are becoming ever more critical. Advances in research, development, demonstration, and deployment are bringing these technologies onto electric grids and into residential and commercial buildings. She will discuss the major renewable technologies, solar, wind, water, geothermal, and talk about what's new in each and where the barriers remain to getting a full clean energy transition. The fourth session will be by Alphonse Galvis, who will provide an overview of the biopharmaceutical industry and the drug discovery process, and the technical advances driven by the biotechnology revolution. These advances led to the discovery of new medicines for providing effective treatment for many debilitating chronic autoimmune, genetic diseases, and cancers. He will also provide an overview of current and future trends. The last session will be by Michael Shapiro, who will examine the development of robotics in various applications and consider the challenges in creating robotics. Robots have become more important in our economy and society and will become more so. He will focus on robots that interact with humans in industrial, commercial, and personal settings, and on the development of general-purpose humanoid robots. He will consider how developments in engineering and computer science, especially artificial intelligence, are making possible dramatic improvements in the ability of robots and of some applications of these advances for society. We hope you will join us.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be back with Encore Learning again. You are a fabulous group. Many of you have been with me for some of my other technology courses, and especially last year that I won on artificial intelligence. I really appreciate the big turnout. We all showed up, and it was really fun. This course is different, though, for a couple of reasons. First of all, we're not going to talk much about artificial intelligence. Instead, I'll concentrate on dozens of other topics, which I think it could be argued are considerably more important than AI. You see some of them listed on your course description, and many might be familiar to you, but others, I'm guessing, will be new. And when we finish, I'm hoping that you'll feel that you've gotten a really good look at a broad array of technology challenges in the world today. So we will cover a wide variety of topics, but the second thing that I think you'll find helpful is that I'm going to send everybody ahead of time a list of these topics and ask you to let me know the ones that are particularly interesting to you. So when we start in a few months, I don't think we start till November, the early emphasis will be on the things that are your favorites. I did this recently for a similar group, and it was great. A lot of people put in their preferences, and that's what I started with, and I'll be able to keep doing that, this one. Obviously, a lot of these subjects are worrisome and getting more so. Seems like there is a new hack every day of millions of customers' information around the world, and there is revenge porn, deepfake, phishing, vishing, smishing, swatting, swarming weapons, things like that. And of course, we'll cover all of those. I'll try to cover them, all of them, but with your help, the emphasis will be on the ones that are particularly important to you. One other thing, I'll provide you with some really good documentation for these topics every week. Links you can check on your own, click on them, and get more information whenever you want. So I look forward to seeing you, and I wish you the very best in your adventures this semester with Encore Learning.
Hi, my name is Rob Albro. I'm a professor and associate director of American University's Center for Latin American and Latino Studies. I'm also a trained sociocultural anthropologist, and in recent years, my research and writing have increasingly focused on what I'll call the cultural construction of the future. What do I mean? Americans in particular have a longstanding societal obsession with the idea of the future, and this class will engage with the future as a concept we understand in different ways, but which we have also sought to control and influence. As a famed computer scientist once put it, the best way to predict the future is to invent it. It is precisely this brave new world optimism about the ability to make our own future that we'll explore here, in the process considering diverse cultural and scientific constructions of specific futures, some of which we hope to avoid and others in which we hope to live. To be clear, we will not be spending time crystal ball-like playing the future prediction game. nor is this a course in speculative philosophy. Instead, beginning in the mid-20th century, we will explore the recent history of our ideas about the future. This includes the emergence of an entire industry of so-called futurists, armed with sophisticated forecasting tools. Each week, we will consider different cultural constructions of the future and how they've enchanted and animated artists, science fiction writers, scientists, philosophers, and Silicon Valley technologists, among others, while shaping the planning of governments, militaries, and corporations. An optional short non-technical reading is assigned for each unit, and I will come prepared to frame and discuss each week's topic, often with visual accompaniments. But the course is designed as a discussion, and your questions, contributions, and insights are encouraged and most welcome. By closely examining our sometimes far-out cultural ideas about the future, we can better understand ourselves in the present. And I hope you will join our conversation about how our future obsession helps to shape our lives and the world we might inherit.
Hi everyone, I hope you've had a safe and pleasant summer. Many of you know me from the Numbers in the News course that I've taught over the past 6 years, with the content changing every year. As with past years, I'll be discussing the data that underlies the key news stories relating to politics, economics, healthcare, demographics, and climate change. But this year, I'm adding a new feature, a discussion of how artificial intelligence is changing the way the news is gathered, edited, and distributed. The course will be taught in person for 4 weeks. I hope to see you there.
I am Vern Vance. I've been teaching courses at Encore Learning since 2016 when I moved to Arlington. This fall, I'll be teaching a course called The Oracle of Omaha, The Life, Lessons, and Legacy of Warren Buffett. For people who have any money or interest in the stock market, Warren's name will be very familiar. Many books have been written about him, and his name literally appears every day on search engines such as Google and others. He is regarded by many people as the greatest long-term market investor of all time in an investment career that has run continuously from 1956 to the current day. Warren and I both grew up in Omaha, Nebraska in the 1930s and 1940s. For a number of years, our families lived in the same neighborhood. I knew Warren and his family very well. He is not only a great business executive, investor, and business analyst, he is also a fascinating and witty person. He is somebody who is well worth studying for many of the lessons that he can teach us. In this course, we will study Warren's life and his loves, money and his 2 wives, his philosophy of business and investing, and his broader legacy of lessons on how to live a satisfying and successful life. In the course, we will consider some of Warren's writings and see a number of video clips of Warren himself, including some of his appearances at the legendary annual meetings of the corporation that he built into prominence, Berkshire Hathaway Corporation. So please join me this fall for a fascinating look at a very interesting and unique man, a man who said such things as, no matter how great the talent or efforts, some things just take time. You can't produce a baby in 1 month by getting 9 women pregnant. Thank you.
Okay, that is a wrap for our fall course preview. We just want to end by thanking our wonderful Encore Learning staff. These are our unsung heroes, and that's Patty Rowland, Carrie Fratz, Donna Banks, and our executive director, Laura Polari-Wells. They work so hard and were the real key to what made this program come together for us all. Just remember also that the videos for these classes will be posted on the Encore Learning YouTube channel tomorrow, but you can also access them through the online course catalog. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Registration for fall classes will begin Monday, September 9th at 10 o'clock. And we look forward to seeing you in classes again this fall. And now I'll just turn it back over to Laura.
Thank you so much, Deb. Thank you, Jean. And thank you, Marilyn. I just wanted to highlight that seeing all of these courses just brings out to me what wonderful expertise and passion we have amongst our members. All of these courses are taught by volunteer instructors, some of whom became members and then decided to teach a course, and some who came to us because they want to teach a course. But I thought particularly the technology hotspots class that came together, bringing together longtime members who have expertise and willing to share it. And I know that if you are interested in sharing one of your passions or expertises, you can get in touch with Jean or Deb, or just send a message to info@encorelearning.net, because they're already planning for spring. 37 this fall is only half of the year, and there's a whole lot more to come in the spring. We already have course ideas submitted, and that process happens over the next about 2 months. So keep those ideas coming in. I wanted to highlight a couple of things about registration. The birding class, really delighted that we can offer 2 sessions of that. It is a small class limited to 15 students, so we can offer it twice, either on Tuesday or Thursday, but you only register for one of them, so you have to pick which day might fit your schedule. And as far as recorded classes, just to clarify, if you are taking a class that's being recorded, you'll be able to view that. The recordings are available all the way until February. However, you do have to register for a class to view the recording. We are able to monitor who's viewing the courses, and they're password protected. So if you want to take a class that is being recorded, we really hope you'll come to class. And the intent for recording is if you're going to miss or have a conflict, you'll be able to stay current. We go through a process of determining which classes are recorded based on the format of the class. Some classes that are discussion-based don't work well for recording, based on instructor preferences and just capacity based on the classes that are offered at a different time. So we're excited to be offering more. 12 is 3 times more than last semester. So we'll keep that up. Of course, recorded classes are really only for virtual or hybrid classes. In-person classes be pretty hard to record the birding class, for example. Just want to also extend a real official invitation to everybody to come to the open house on September 19th. And it'll be here at Mason Square, and you'll get to see the classrooms or ask questions about where you're going to be meeting. We have many instructors who are going to come that day, so you can have coffee with an instructor. You can learn about our clubs and learn about things like how to access that new fabulous class media, or brush up on your Zoom skills. So lots of ways to learn more at the open house on September 19th. That's from 10 to noon. Coffee and donuts will be available. So I hope you'll join us. Do sign up so we can order enough donuts. That sign up is online on our website. Please register for that. And if you're new to Encore Learning, we welcome you. Just delighted to have you. Looking through the list of participants, I can see a lot of longtime members, but also a lot of new names. So thank you for joining us, and we hope that you feel welcome. I think there's a range of classes for everybody, whether it's a lecture or discussion. So depending on what you're interested in and how much you want to be engaged, you can find a class that might be of interest to you. We do have some that I think that are really suitable for brand new members, or people maybe that are new to retirement this semester, that are actually unique this year and part of our new classes. For example, the class on pursuit of purpose in life and planning your encore years just really came to mind. So take time to look through the courses over the next couple of days and be ready to register on Monday at 10 a.m. Happy to answer any questions. We're going to keep this webinar open for a few more minutes in case there are more questions that come in. Folks have been asking about the list of recorded classes. That list, there's ways that you can see that. I can think of 4 ways right now. One way, if you look at the course grid online, it shows what's recorded, or if you look at the calendar view online, or if you look at the course description online. Those 3 ways. And then also, if you go to our website and do a search, I just did it, just go to the search and put recorded, and you'll see a news post about it that lists all 12 with information about their availability. So check that out. Let's see if we have any other questions. So a good question came in about, is it best to sign up and pay for a popular class to make sure you're registered and then sign up for other classes you want? Yes, I think that is a good idea. When you add a course, it does go into your cart and you do have time to add other courses. However, that cart can run out of time and you might forget. So some of the courses are more limited in size, and on the course grid and in the course description, you can see the capacity of a course. So some of our courses are limited to anywhere from 15 to 25 people and maybe more competitive to get in. Typically, each semester we have anywhere from 3 to 5 classes that sell out in the first 10 minutes of registration. But it's totally worth getting on the waiting list because many of those slots open up. I would say in all of those cases, people who have been on the waiting list have gotten in, sometimes people in the first few slots of the waiting list. This course preview as a whole will be available on our website. This has been live streamed to YouTube, and we're going to, that link will be available on our YouTube channel. If you go to Encore Learning on YouTube, you'll see a link. And then we also have all of the individual preview clips will be available to view starting tomorrow morning, on Friday morning. And that's nice if you're interested in looking at a series of certain clips to reconsider which one you might want to sign up for. You can just view a few of the clips, and those are listed in the order that we viewed them today. Jean or Deb, do you see any other questions or anything else you want to address?
I think you answered everything, Laura. So, thanks again, everybody, for joining us this morning. And we're looking forward to seeing you in classes this fall.
Thank you.
I did think of one more thing. If some of our classes still need class aids, and when you register, if that class is in need of class aids, you will be prompted to answer a question of whether you would like to be a class aid. So don't be surprised if when you're registering, it prompts you and asks if you want to be a class aid. That just means we're still looking for a class aid. So we have probably about 2/3 of our slots filled and are still looking for more. So we have a few weeks. And a question did come in about parking at the open house. So the open house is at George Mason, which has a parking garage attached to the building in Van Meter Hall. And if you want to park there, you can pre-purchase a parking pass when you register for $8. And that can be a savings then of about $3 or $4 if you do that pre-purchase pass. So you can do that, and you'll get the parking pass when you check in at the open house. And there is training for class aids. We provide fantastic training that will happen either here at George Mason or virtually if you're a virtual class aid. It's a great chance to meet other members and get what you need to know to be a class aid. We provide a class aid guide, and there's a website that has all the information about being a class aid. And John Messler pointed out, you can also take metro or bike or walk to George Mason. It's really kind of between the Clarendon Metro and the Virginia Square Metro. Or carpool. Great questions. I'm going to ask my staff, Carrie, Donna, Patty, anything else we didn't cover that we should cover today?
I think you covered everything, and the questions helped too.
Great. Well, thank you all for joining us.